18th of February 2025, Gardi get court order to see grip sites X messages. Gardi secured a court order to obtain private social media messages from the controversial news website Gript over its reporting of anti-immigration protests. Now, it was all a standard for crime. People engaged in crime and breaking into places and subverting the state, that the guards would get orders and would check what messages were passing. And when there's a murder, one of the first things they check is closed circuit television. No problem with that. In a statement yesterday, the right-wing news site, and this is right-wing, this site is merely reporting what was the way we were in Ireland at the turn of the century. The news site said they had become aware the Gardi obtained what is known as Section 63 order from a district court judge to compel Twitter X to compel Twitter and X, that's Elon Musk. See now, so now here we have Elon Musk at direct conflict with the Garda Commissioner Drew Harris to compel Twitter X to provide private messages relating to its coverage of protests that turned violent in Newtownmountkennedy, County Wicklow in April last year. And we had a murder this week. We're having a murder. We're going to have no more murders now in Ireland in February. We're going to have 2 people stabbed to death in early March in the Lucan area of Dublin. Could be your own children. That's the way it is. Dublin City, people have to go through that area every day to go to work, and it's a complete danger. It's deadly dangerous. I was up there one day. You'd be afraid of your life unless you had a weapon, and I don't carry weapons. So, this is what they're worrying about. Compel Twitter to provide private messaging relating to its coverage of protests that turned violent in Newtownmountkennedy last year. Protests against plans to use a local site as an international protection centre descended into violent clashes with Gardi, and 6 people were arrested. Fair enough, let the law take its course. They shouldn't be putting these migrants in there to kill us, putting our killers in there without any vetting or anything. We don't know who they are. And as President Trump repeatedly says, the countries of the world, some of the most despotic countries, are emptying their prisons of criminals and dumping them into the United States, and it's every reason to believe the very same is happening in Europe and in Ireland. No vetting at all. And Drew Harris's predecessor 20 years ago ensured that there was vetting, because I was part of it as a Garda. Garda Commissioner Drew Harris said at the time there were very unacceptable scenes here in terms of protests, which then turned to violence. Well, fair enough. That's all right. Section 63 order under the Criminal Justice Act 1994 allows the Gardaí to make an application to the district court to compel somebody to hand over material to them to investigate a case. Gript has alleged that the decision to obtain the order could have jeopardised journalistic sources. Yeah, well, there was always protection of journalists because it comes round to the constitutional provision of the freedom of speech. In a statement it said, An Garda Síochána, a police force in the country that claims to protect press freedom, secured a secret court order granting them access to media organisations' private communications. The communications which, if exposed, could have jeopardised journalistic sources, with their only justification being an argument that reporting on a public event meant it was reasonable to believe we must hold additional material available on the investigation. In other words, what they're saying is that they reported everything's there, but the Gardaí don't believe them. There must be other conspiracies going on behind the scenes on Twitter X, owned by Elon Musk. It must be causing Drew Harris sleepless nights to know that Musk is on the prowl, just as he may consider himself on the prowl. A2 leader Padar Topin described the incident as an outrageous attack on press freedom. He told the Mail last night, press freedom is a foundation of a democracy. Minister for Justice has major questions to answer as to how this could happen. Minister for Justice will answer nothing. Minister for Justice is a rip-roaring communist. Rip Roaring mass migration, who said that people should take migrants into their own homes and be forced to take them, and if they don't take them, they should be fined for not taking them, but he takes none in himself. Now, I noticed that Tobin, which be the Sinn Féin into ex-Sinn Féin, and his Sarah Riley ran in Cavan Monaghan, and 675 of my votes transferred when I was eliminated to Sarah O'Reilly. So there seems to be a synergy there between the two. In fairness, Sarah O'Reilly I spoke to her, was one of the few people and her supporters that treated me with any bit of reasonable courtesy and help at the election. Maybe that would be something I'd look at for the next election. She's a senator. How she became a senator, does anybody know? Why did somebody make her a senator? I don't know. Justice Minister Jim O'Callaghan defended the moves last night. If it's an application to the district court, there is a system there of judicial oversight. Well, the court is the oversight. There is no other judicial oversight. You can't take an appeal against it. There's obviously a provision in the legislation that permits the Gardi to make this application. Well, there is, but that's subject to criminal investigations. This is a protest. There's obviously a provision in the legislation that permits the Gardi to make this application, he told the Tonight Show on Virgin Media. If the court didn't think it appropriate, it wouldn't have granted it. Are you joking me? The justice wouldn't have a clue what he's talking about. He's a solicitor who deals with all other sorts of stuff. In fairness, this should be going to a higher court, and there should be some guidelines for the issue of these things. I think if you look at our legal system and the jurisprudence of the courts, journalist sources are protected. I think. We don't want you to think, Minister. You're the Minister. You have an Attorney General. He's probably as thick as you are, but you think. I'm fully in favour of uncovering real criminal activity. But this is the deep state, and the same thing that's going on in England, and what J.D. Vance told the European Union is the attack from within. So all of this, including the Gardi, is the attack on Ireland from within, not from Russia or not from China, from within. And that's where all empires collapse from, within. The Grip media management team said of the issue, the order instructed Twitter, now X, to hand over Grip Media's private messages, as well as the personal details and IP addresses of everyone who logged into Grip X account over a specific period. The reason, in April 2004, Grip published footage on X of altercations between Gardi and members of the public over the opening of an asylum centre at Newtownmountkennedy. Grip said Twitter X notified Grip of an attempt. Grip said Twitter also X notified Grip of an attempt, even though it was not obliged to. So it appears that's a wee bit unclear. They told Grip Media that this was being applied for. That's what that means. Grip said it was their understanding that X opposed the order and that the Gardaí never got the material they had sought under the order. So how was it granted? I mean, it says here it was granted, and then it says Grip opposed the order. So what was the decision? Did the court give it? I'd say what happened there was that the guards couldn't get it out of Twitter because it's in a different jurisdiction. I'd say that's what happened. I'd say that the Twitter stuck the heels in. So it wasn't Grip that was being pursued for this information, it was Twitter X. The Garda spokesman confirmed the move to the Mail in order to vindicate the rights of potential victims of crime, including Gardaí who may have been verbally and physically assaulted. And that is to be condemned. The guards are only doing a job after all, but it's my job to make sure that job is not corrupted. An Garda Síochána has a positive obligation to obtain all available evidence relating to a particular incident. At times such evidence is procured on foot of court orders being issued by the courts and An Garda Síochána. But it's not suggested that there was some footage there of somebody doing something. It suggested that there was communication between some of the protagonists, between each other, and that people commented. Maybe someone would come on and said, I can understand what happened, and this is to identify and leave and strike fear into the ordinary person. This is what retired Harry Miller, policeman Harry Miller in England, brought to court, and the judge said it was too wide. They spread the net ever wide in order to intimidate people from expressing their view or partaking in any public discussion. He said the particular order was issued by the court in June 2004, asked how they balanced the rights of the press to retain private correspondence versus investigating cases. He added, on Garda Síochána takes the protection of the right of journalists to the report, of the right of journalists to report freely and in safety very seriously. So that's what they said. The Department of Media spokesman, Department of Media. We have a Department of Media now. Daddy Healy Raby, the man there. Department of Media spokesman said an investigation may be ongoing. It would not be appropriate for the Minister Patrick O'Donovan to comment. Press Ombudsman Susan McKay said neither she nor the Press Council had any comment. Had any comment? Oh, put the head under the ground, stick your head in the sand. Had any comment? And the NEJ and the National Union of Journalists did not respond to the request for comment. See, like everything else, Musk has the money. They didn't get the information, it appears. When we have people being killed and murdered, and more to come. We're looking at 8 deaths this year, 2005, in the Republic of Ireland, all connected to migrants. Our jails are full. Some fellow was brought back yesterday. There's 3 fellows sentenced there the other day. One white, as someone said about the crime in Longford, 1 black man and 2 locals. But there was obviously not Irish, and they have to be housed at our expense for life. This fellow came in to shoot them, and they tackled them, and they kicked them to death, apparently. Anyway, folks, this is the weird world we're living in, and what we must do is congratulate our friends and neighbours. You went out and you voted for Fianna Fáil, Fine Gael, Sinn Féin. Not so long ago they were kneecapping people for talking to the police. Sinn Féin, People Before Puberty, and Labour. And in the end of the day, and I don't care what you say, you voted for the monk is a criminal. You wouldn't vote for our man, Quinlan, in Dublin. And Catholic ones, craw thumping. Oh, the monk, he's not any worse than the criminals that's in. But you had a decent candidate and you wouldn't vote for him. So the devil rub it up yous. Comment underneath, we'll see you back soon. That's the article in the paper about them getting decent. What was it? A new chronology of a bit of a riot and a bit of a shamassel. I was on protest myself. Don't apologise to it at all. Good luck. We'll see. Just a second. Now, I have to say I'm not back on Twitter X since they banned me. But I could be back, and I suppose. But I just got sick of them when they banned me. And I was banned in Musk time. But remember J.D. Vance's speech. Not only are they trying to control and intimidate the ordinary people. Whoever commits the crime, whoever did the assault, fair enough. They're trying to intimidate and prosecute those who comment on it. And people maybe who say, oh, well, I can understand why this happened. And that's what J.D. Vance told the European Union. That's why Elon Musk is cutting through all this and driving shockwaves through the whole European Union to such a degree. It's the European soldiers that will have to fight the Russians, not the Americans. Because nobody is going to join an army. Nobody's going to join an army in Ireland or anywhere else. And it's here in the front of it. Our soldiers will be sent to Ukraine if Trump makes a deal with Russia. I mean, how can they say that? Russia will decide who'll go to Ukraine and not. This is all part of this woke agenda, and I'm sorry to say, folks, it's not going to be fixed in Ireland. It'll be shoved up them from outside. The problem is from inside, and it'll be shoved up them from outside. Comment underneath. Bye-bye. Good luck. Thank you.